Did you grow up here in Houston?
Actually, I was born in Laredo.
Okay.
And that was, we were there for a couple of years. And then we made our way to Converse, Texas, which is basically San Antonio.
Uh-huh.
And we were there till 94. And then Missouri City, which is basically Houston. So Missouri City since then.
And how old were you then?
I was, how old was I? 14 years old, 14 when we moved to Missouri City. Yeah. I thought you were going to ask me how old what was I when I was born. And so I was, about 9 months. As far as I can remember, it's kind of a fuzzy memory.
Did you grow up Catholic?
I grew up Catholic. Yeah. Baptized Catholic and parents Catholic, mom and dad. Basically Catholic on both sides of my family. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So did you go to Catholic school growing up? Did you know you were going to be a priest?
No. When I grew up, I went to the public school with the rest of the heathens. So, it was a good experience. It probably would have been a better experience going to a Catholic school if the Catholic school was a good, a good Catholic school that's rich in the faith, of course. Uh-huh. But anyway, no, I went to public school pretty much all my life, even college, because I went to Texas A&M. And I was there I was studying there for about 4 years. And you might think that I finished my time there, but I was studying engineering. So engineering is like, unless you're really brilliant and or driven, it's like 5 years to finish an engineering degree. So, and I was doing co-op working for Delta Airlines. So that means I spent some extra semesters working for Delta Airlines to get some experience in engineering. Anyway, so then after 4 years, I transferred into the seminary. And that was my first experience with Catholic education, since Holy Trinity Seminary is University of Dallas, of course. Uh-huh. And then, of course, St. Mary's Seminary is University of St. Thomas, connected to that. Yeah.
Okay. So when did the first thoughts of you becoming a priest creep in? Was it when you were older?
The very, very first time was when I was 11 years old. And I had never heard what might seem more common now, which is a vocations homily. And I remember this priest preaching, and it wasn't, we were out of town. We were going somewhere, I forgot where, and we had to make it to Mass. We were traveling, and we had to make it to Mass somewhere. And so we found a spot in some town where they celebrated Mass at the time that we could get there. So we show up, and I hear the homily, and the priest is talking about how young men or boys can be called to be a priest. And I didn't even think about priests coming from normal men who were not priests before they were priests. You know what I mean? You kind of think they get hatched out of eggs, almost like teachers. Like teachers don't have homes. They live at the school, that kind of a thing. When you're that young, that's kind of how it seems.
Yes.
And so I was thinking to myself, am I called to be a priest? I think I might be called. And that was for about 30 minutes during the Mass afterwards. And then when I received communion, I said, no, I'm not called to be a priest. people get kind of, fake by that. It's they kind of turn, and that twist in that story. But that was the first time I thought about it. And of course, I didn't rule it out. It was kind of lingering there. So 11 years old, and then 18 years old, when I was on my way into college, I had I was going through some tribulation, because I really, really wanted to be one of two things: either a NFL football player or an aerospace engineer. Those are the two things,
Okay.
And I wanted to go and become an astronaut. So I wanted to go to space. So I really set some realistic goals for myself, totally achievable. And so I those are the two things I wanted to do. Now, really, NFL was a big one for me. And so I was playing offensive guard or center. And those who may not know what football, may not know much about football. Basically, I was the guy that had to hit somebody else repetitively in order to keep that person from tackling the guy with the ball. So that's it. Kind of the blue collar worker of football.
And you did this through high school?
I did this all throughout high school. I played for about 6 years. So junior high all the way through high school. And I was semi good at it. I look back at it now, and it's like, I really didn't have a chance to be in the NFL, but at that age, you're especially if you're playing pretty well, you think, I was thinking, I think I have a shot anyway.
But A&M didn't come knocking on your door.
A&M did not come knocking at my door. I was, about 4 inches too short and probably 75 pounds too light. That all makes a difference, it turns out. You got to have that length of arms and all of that stuff. And you also have to be really good. So apparently that's also important.
Just a little thing called talent.
Just
right?
a little thing called talent. And, and of course, but what actually happened, and I think that if I didn't experience this thing, my last year of playing football, my varsity year, if I didn't experience this one thing, I don't think I would have been open to the priesthood. And that is, I got injured in the fifth game into the season, so mid-season, where my arterial cruciate ligament, the ACL, a ligament in the knee, was completely severed in the middle of a game because I was hit on the shoulder by another player, of course the opposing team. He hit me on the shoulder, and it wasn't a hard hit, but it was just right to get my knee to twist. And that was it. Yeah, that was it for the season. And I remember being feeling very discouraged. And I remember thinking, at the time that this is just a hump for me to get over. Like immediately I was thinking, let's get the surgery. I'm going to train hard, and in fact, I did train very hard to rehabilitate. I did get the surgery, got a great surgeon. He was actually the surgeon for the Houston Oilers at the time, and also the Houston Rockets. I think he still is.
Cool.
So that's just my parents, my mother and my aunt. They just worked hard to get that. So anyway, the surgery and then recovery and rehabilitation. And it was supposed to take 6 months. I got it done in 4 months.
Wow.
And I was ready to go. I didn't mention this, but I didn't spend 4 years at A&M. It was 2 years at A&M Kingsville, and then 2 years at A&M College Station.
Okay.
So, I worked really hard to get better. And then at A&M Kingsville, which is where I was planning on playing football at, because one of the coaches was recruiting me to go there.
Okay.
And I was offered a position, and that position was to be on the kickoff team.
Okay.
And I said, I don't want to just be on the kickoff team, Anyway, but it was more to that. It wasn't just I didn't want to be on the kickoff team. It was also a whole sort of journey I was on after the injury, where I was really clinging to the Lord, really asking Him to help. And I was also beginning to pray with greater earnestness. And most importantly, I began to pray to know His holy will for me. And that in earnest. I was already doing that, but it was kind of more like, I want to do your holy will, and your will is for me to play the NFL. And so,
become an astronaut.
Or become an astronaut. One of those two. That's your will. Lord, help me know your will. And also, this is your will. It was kind of like that kind of a thing going on. But I started to really, really seriously listen. And I think going through that tribulation helped a lot. The Lord allowing me to experience that injury. So that was the context within which I started to think about the priesthood. And that's when I think another part of it was when my mother, around that time, when I was 18 on my way into college, asked me, have you ever thought about becoming a priest? And I said, I really haven't seriously, but I will now. And that was a turning point. So after that, then there was, a journey during the 4 years where I was involved in the Catholic campus ministries, and I always had a spiritual director helping me out. So Father Roger Smith, who was the pastor at the time at St. Gertrude's in Kingsville, and I'm not sure how he's doing these days. It's been a while since I've connected with him, but anyway. And also Father Peter Koskol, I hope I'm saying his last name right. He's originally from Poland, was the campus minister at the time at A&M Kingsville, and then made my way to A&M and found another spiritual director, Father David Konderla, who's now the bishop in Tulsa.
Nice.
So he was extremely, extremely helpful. So it was just a wonderful journey with spiritual directors and with getting involved in campus ministry. That was all part of that environment that led me to say yes to the Lord.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one brother, Michael, and he is 40. No, he's not 40. What is he? I can't even keep track of my own age.
Is he older or younger?
He's younger, so he's 36. He's 36. And he's married with children and has twin boys, and they're 10 years old and just a huge handful. And, a quick funny story is that my brother was super rambunctious when he was younger. And I remember hearing that my mother said to him one time that when he gets older and has children, he's going to have two just like him. And that's exactly what happened at the same time. So it's
Twins,
just so fun. Yeah, twin boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So the reason I ask about your family is when your mom asked you about you becoming a priest or not, was your brother already married at that point? Did he have?
Oh, no.
No.
By then, let's see, he would have been, I was 18 years old, so he would have been.
So it was still early on.
Yeah, early on. He would have been 12 years old at the time, but he did consider the priesthood for a little bit as well. So there was a time when he was considering it.